Senior advisor to the Trump campaign, former campaign manager for Ben Carson's presidential bid, and CNN political commentator Ana Navarro. Guys, it's great to see you all. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to keep an eye to see when John Kasich will be taking to the microphone to see what he says. But Barry, first to you. It seems a lot has happened since you and I spoke yesterday right here on this show.
Seems that happens every day, doesn't it?
It seems I could say that almost every day. It's Groundhog Day.
Is anybody else running?
Yes, but we're going to talk about that. What are they running against? Donald Trump. 3 different positions in 3 hours. Yeah. This is a very serious issue. Yeah. This is also an issue that if you are running for president, especially in a Republican primary, you must have a clear position on. Yeah. What happened, Barry?
Well, I think that, first of all, we got into ifs, and ifs, right? If there was a law, no one said what the law was. If the Supreme Court said it was okay, we're now way down the trap. I mean, so anyway, the position is for the Right to Life community, and I'm very much Right to Life, is that the law would be written so that the doctor would be the one who's violating the law by performing an abortion, or whoever else performed it, not the woman. And I think, it took, like you said, it took 3 hours. But that's out there. He corrected it. That's his position.
That's his position. But first, this statement, and then obviously we're going to go around the horn here, but the first statement that came out from Hope Hicks, from Donald Trump, this issue is unclear. What is unclear about it?
Well, I mean, I'm not familiar with that statement, so I can't tell you.
This issue is unclear and should be put back into the states for determination.
Well, I guess if you want me to fill in the gap of her mind there, I would say that I don't know how the law is written.
But I actually don't need you to get into Hope Hicks' mind, or I don't even get into Donald Trump's mind. But what is going on in the campaign? I mean, what is unclear seems to be what Donald Trump is trying to say first, second, and third.
Right. Well, I mean, we have to remember that Donald Trump is not a politician, right? He does not have memorized talking points on every issue. He tells it like he comes off the top of his head, like he believes out of his heart. And, he fixed this yesterday. He now understands that the doctor is the person that would be punished by the law. I'm sure he's probably never even seen the proposed law. But, it's...
Okay, just to what you said, as far as he says, I agree, he's not a politician, and that is his stock and trade, that he says what he thinks and he means what he says. He was asked a question. He answered it. Now they're trying to claim he misspoke. Basically, he didn't have an answer, and it was a 50-50 shot. What do I respond? What will the people want to hear? He answered the wrong way. But that's the biggest problem that's starting to go into Trump's narrative, is he's starting to look like a politician, because he answered, if you go by what you just said, that he says what he means, and from the heart, and he believed that it should be punished. That's what he said.
But isn't he now a politician, Scotty? Yes, he is running for a political office. He is a politician. No matter if he is a businessman first and that he's running as an outsider, no question. Does he not need to know the range of possibility of what he is comfortable with?
Well, you have to talk about it. In this issue, who exactly in the executive office ever gets the decision on whether or not abortion is going to be made legal or not? This is an issue. The idea of Roe versus Wade being reversed would land into the judicial branch. This is not an issue that the executive office, so therefore...
But it is a moral question.
It is a moral question that he has said, I'm extremely pro-life, and there are exceptions in the case of the mother's life. That's all he needs to know, and he needs to know that he is going to appoint judges.
What all he said.
But that's why this is not necessarily in his talking points. This is why he's too busy studying on issues that actually the executive office affects. That's what's wrong right now with our country.
Doesn't the executive office nominate judges to the Supreme Court?
And he said, I'm going to nominate a judge that is pro-life. That's what he needs to sit there and figure out, and he has, and he's done that talking point right there.
2 weeks ago, he wasn't right to life enough.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Ted Cruz and all these other people can't have it both ways. They were issuing, we've even seen these commercials saying that, oh, he's not pro-life. Now you've got them saying, oh, he's obviously too pro-life. Make up your mind, folks. You're hitting him from everything, and you're seeing what's going to stick. And it's amazing to sit here. It's almost laughable to sit here and watch what people think as they're trying to take him out from every single side.
Anna, get in on this. Is this laughable that people are talking about this?
No, about every issue they're talking about. They're throwing everything at him.
Do you see me laughing? Look, I think this is very serious. I think it is a very sad state of affairs in the Republican primary right now. I think the reason that people are hitting him from every which direction is because he has had every which position on this issue and many other issues. It is not an easy feat to achieve, to be able to unite the pro-life and pro-choice community in criticism of somebody. And Donald Trump achieved it yesterday in a blink of an eye. So I think, you know, it is very serious. I think he is now a politician, and you saw that. The evidence of that is that he backtracked in 3 hours, something which we have not traditionally seen Donald Trump do. You know, I think he's realizing that he is the front runner. He could very well be the nominee. There is no point to being the nominee if you don't win the general election. And I think he realized that this could be a very bad thing, not only with the pro-life movement. He was not speaking their language. He tried to pander to them, and it backfired. But it would also be a huge problem with women in a general election. And we already, as a Republican Party, have a gender gap. What he's doing is digging that hole even deeper. And what he said was just absurd. I mean, the notion that Donald Trump, out of all people, is going to pass judgment on women who've had abortions is just really more absurd and more of the theater of the absurd that we have seen in this primary so far.
In this state in the race, in this state of politics, it's not a flip-flop. It's not evolving on a position that people are going to take issue with. Donald Trump himself has talked about how he's evolved on the issue. And I believe in this day, in our political universe, people can excuse, voters can understand changing position if it's an evolution on position. But this is what I'm hearing is he misspoke. There's nothing to see here. Let's move on from you guys, from Katrina Pearson, with the spokesperson with the campaign. But don't words matter, Barry? This is not the first time we have heard he misspoke, let's move on. In just my own recent memory, he said that the war in Afghanistan was a mistake. Then he had said he misspoke, he meant to say Iraq, except when you look at the transcript, it's pretty impossible to understand that he was talking about Iraq in that conversation, and he said that on CNN. He also, within, I think, the span of 24 hours, reversed his position and said he misspoke in terms of how he felt about allowing in Syrian refugees. How many times can you misspeak?
Well, you got to put this in context. This was like 100 minutes between the point that he said something and then he clarified it. He clarified it. I didn't clarify it. You know, Katrina didn't clarify it. He clarified it. So, you know, I don't.
He doesn't apologize, though. Should he apologize on this one?
He clarified. I don't know what should he apologize for?
What's actually amazing, and you bring this up, is that Donald Trump did not take to the airwaves or to Twitter like he always does after one of these instances. Normally he gets there and he's ready to fight and say, what I really meant was, he is now for the first time using surrogates in his campaign to speak to him because they are circling. They know there was a huge mistake here. And Donald Trump doesn't like to say, I was wrong or I misspoke. He likes to double down. And this is the first case where he's made one of these mistakes where he has not immediately taken to Twitter, nor he's not shy about phoning into TV interviews. He didn't do it because he knows this is a mistake. He needs some time, and they have to regroup. This was a very big problem going off of a very bad week with him, especially with women, and the narrative going into Wisconsin where he's probably going to lose, and now the talk in the convention that he's just not going to hit 1237.
But I think that right there speaks to why I said this has been interesting that they're throwing everything at him. It is not like this was the only thing we've talked about this week. Every single, it's almost like morning and afternoon, we're getting something else. Not saying it's organized, but it's interesting that this week has been the War on Women week, that Donald Trump hates women. 2 weeks ago,
the Trump campaign love it that everyone's
whether they like
about
it or not, but you understand, everybody is throwing stuff at him, at his campaign, and this issue, obviously the issue this week has been women.
I'm just talking about this one issue. I'm talking about this one issue.
Welcome to the big leagues,
on the side of it. But the key is, even if he's bringing up the confusion, and I think why Mr. Trump was not able to give a good answer, a solid answer, is because the pro-life movement has not been able to have a solid answer either. They've not. If they had such clear answers in all of this in legislation, they would have been able to pass it through. But
Wait, so Scotty, this is now the pro-life movement's fault?
I am saying the pro-life movement is not very clear either, because what we saw, we had the best chances this fall to defund taxpayer-funded abortions, and yet for some reason they did not have the strategy, they did not have the communication with the sitting GOP Congress that we control to have that taken
by law,
out.
taxpayer dollars do not go towards abortion.
It goes towards Planned Parenthood.
And that is the law, is that the money is in two different places.
But at the same time, there was a big point that said we could pull that money away from Planned Parenthood. And there was a large talk of it prior to Carly Fiorina making it a presidential issue. We actually had the momentum in the pro-life movement to remove that funding. And then all of a sudden, the big gaffe that she had caused us now, and once again, every Republican senator, including Senator Ted Cruz, backed away from it and did not fight fight for that funding to be defunded. That's the action right now. There is not organization amongst the pro-life movement to clarify the issue, or else this maybe might have been a lot more cut and dry than what it was.
I just want to get one final thought from you, Barry. Are you comfortable? You have been involved in many campaigns and in politics for a long time. Are you comfortable where things are with this campaign right now?
Yeah, absolutely.
You really are. Where Donald Trump is on this.
Oh, yeah, we're going to win.
You're going to win.
Yeah.
This is not going to affect you at all. You're comfortable with the advice that he's getting inside the campaign and how he's handling these situations.
Absolutely.
Glad we moved this conversation forward. Guys, it's great to see you. Anna, we're going to see you in a little bit. Guys, thank you very, very much.